Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah, are you recording?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Semi-Perfect Podcast here on this November 29th, 2017. We are back after a long but good weekend worth of conventioning. And I'm adjusting how I'm talking because I was getting feedback a second ago.
Can you guys hear anything in the background?
I don't know.
I hear like I hear Rudolph's like nose going off.
Can you guys, what do you hear in the background?
I don't know if I think I'm hearing myself through Sarah. Sarah, is your door shut?
Yeah, but I can try shutting it more.
Let's do it. Pack it with
I
like...
don't want, Daddy. I don't like it.
You like it and wear it.
Okay, now it's all over.
There's
The critic.
So welcome in, folks. We have a lot to talk about, and kind of an interesting topic I think we'll look into a little bit later on in the show, is we're going to look over some MLP convention stats just to kind of get an idea of all the good stuff.
How the fandom is dying?
Always.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's been dying since it was born. Every
I mean,
year
technically,
it's
all of
dying.
us. So what I think what we're gonna essentially be discussing here, Equestria LA in a good chunk. Everybody that was here or is here in the podcast was at Equestria LA. Some behind the scenes, some in front of the scenes, and a whole lot of stuff that was going on. So we're gonna get into all that. So first off, I guess hello everybody in the podcast. How's everyone doing?
Doing good.
Hey.
So to introduce, we have Black Griffin,
Hi.
Hirosashii,
Hello.
Saberspark, and Laura.
Hi.
That was a good Gabe impression, Saber.
Thank you.
Lord SpongeBob.
Thank you.
got- PaleoSteno,
Hello.
Panama Matt,
What is up?
and Toodles.
Hi, how you doing?
And I'm ACRacebest. So again, guys, welcome in as we get going here on the Semi-Perfect Podcast. I guess we're gonna jump right into food posts right now because I
Let's jump into the news.
All right. First food post is from Ross Pitt. Can't make it to SPP tonight. Here are the crumbs from the last piece of my birthday cookie cake. And it was his 18th birthday last Wednesday. So happy birthday, Ross.
Happy birthday.
18.
All right. Next up is Hirosashii with Krispy Kreme, like a whole box of them. I hope he is eating all of them by himself.
That's sad, but also awesome.
I don't know if he actually is eating them by himself, but like.
It's sad because he's not sharing them with me.
Race, you want to take the next one?
I always want to take the next one. Yeah, from Cake Slayer.
Yeah.
Saying he's eating a kitten.
What?
His post says, "Tonight I dine on kitten, not really, but food posts have always been loose on what counts."
You should be careful with that joke because a lot of people think you mean something else.
I get it!
I'm old enough to understand that joke. Ha ha ha.
Yeah,
Well, I don't get it.
When you're old enough, Paleo. When you're old enough. Silverblaze posts ready for the podcast with meats and Borderlands. I just see I think it's a pita from the movie.
Man, where are you seeing that one?
And there's a lot of meat and I think raw onions in there, but the meat looks good. And then Achieve Hunter says ready for this. It's got like a sandwich thing with like chicken.
Like, it looks
Or
like
it's
fried
needed
chicken, or
chicken
either
feet.
like it's fried fish fillets or something like that.
Let's assume it's chicken,
Okay.
because then it looks good.
It might be fish
propel
fillets,
water,
though.
And it looks good.
tasty cake holiday cookies,
Ooh.
and
A customized badge for the next convention, I guess?
Mushroom.
Achieve Hunter is wearing a Pep Boys shirt, and Tommy works at Pep Boys too.
Oh.
Pep Boys sells everything for less.
So we have Rosie Diamond here.
She
That
got accepted
is-
in New York.
The sponsorship.
We're not sponsored by Pep Boys.
That boy sells everything for less.
And then we have here's some more sponsorship. Rosie Diamond enjoying some throat coat and breathe easy before.
Hey, I
tomorrow's
drink those.
Theater showcase.
Yeah, they're like herbal teas. That one of them
Herbal
helps
teas.
with throat
Purple
pain,
purple.
and the other one helps with breathing. I drink those occasionally.
Then Railroad Bronies with the Linenade.
No.
Yeah.
And then they said every time someone says Judy, Loa, I think they meant Lola, Jessica, Rabbit, or Bunny, I take a sip.
Or Bunny.
Okay.
We'll get into why that's
Bunny. Lola.
that's a thing.
Lola. Judy. Bunny. Judy. Lola.
Rabbit.
Lola.
Enjoy
Rabbit.
your sugar high.
Jessica.
Peter Rabbit.
No. I watched the trailer for that Peter Rabbit movie. It
He's
looks
gonna
kind
like
of
this. I
bad.
said, he's not gay.
Who, Peter Rabbit?
Yeah. No, you. No, Peter Rabbit.
Is not gay.
Okay, Nora
What I
Mermaid
know.
is celebrating her birthday early with some double stuffed Oreos. Happy early birthday, Nora.
Yeah, Nora.
And is that all the food posts? Wait, no.
That's
We've
it.
got
No.
Norris Brony with a fish sandwich after watching EQLA vlogs. Nice.
Good. Good choices. All of them.
Yeah, let me make sure.
Awesome. Okay, so obviously we're going to be talking about something that we all were a part of, Equestria LA, but other than that, how was the last 2 weeks for you guys? Anything new?
Yeah. My brother flew into some power lines and shredded one of my wings. So.
Oh no.
Oh.
You're not kidding, are you?
No, I'm
No, he's
actually
not.
not kidding.
He
Not
flew into the Singer power line.
You okay?
Wow.
We
Yeah, he's fine. That's how it went.
I literally just understood what you were doing. I was like, why are they singing Power Low?
Oh! Man. Now there's 2 jokes I get. Okay, so yeah, it was kind of sucky because it's mostly my fault. I didn't bring my motor because it's really hard to bring it. Ironically, flying my aircraft is hard, like on an airplane at least. So, I just brought a wing, but Nathaniel, he's already a pilot, and I figured he would learn to fly pretty quickly, which he did. But I'm like, I need to somehow figure out a way to get him nice and high in the sky so he can kind of experiment, and then when we both go to Arizona for Christmas, he'll be able to fly off the bat. That was kind of my goal with that.
Are you staying
So-
with your brother until Christmas time?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome. We're gonna live together probably in LA next year, so we're trying to get used to living together now.
That's good.
There was a long silence because some people wanted to make gross jokes.
We would
Well, no,
never...
I was just thinking, getting used to living together. Didn't you guys grow up together, or?
Yeah, but I mean just like one-on-one as adults.
Yes.
Right. Is that what you guys call yourselves now? Adults?
No, it's what the world calls us. It only means we can get in trouble for the stuff that people used to think was cute.
Oh.
And oddly enough, the thing that gave me greater pause, or oddly enough, is you referring to your brother nearly dying by going into a power line is kind of sucky.
Yeah, okay, so
that's pretty
but
intense.
It is my fault because I bought 100 feet of like anchor line.
Kite string.
Yes, kite string. A little stronger than that. And we and I got in his car. We went to a big field, and I got in his car, and I held the rope out the window with my left hand, and then don't ever do this. Anybody, don't do this.
Sorry, Laura. Plans are canceled.
And then I drove, and everything was going fine, except that instead of putting it in manual and leaving it in first gear, it was automatic. So once we got to about 8 miles an hour, it switched gears. And you may not notice that 5 mile an hour jump when you're driving on the road, but you definitely notice it when you're holding your brother, who's 20 feet in the air, out the window. And he noticed it too. So two things happened. One, he got this massive increase in momentum and surged upwards. Saw on the GoPro. I thought about posting it, but I don't want to be irresponsible. More so than we were. So he got this huge surge and he started shouting, "Too fast, too fast!" At the same time, I couldn't hold on anymore. My arm got wrenched kind of backwards, sprained my shoulder, and the rope, which I had wrapped multiple times around my hand and then looped around my wrist
For safety.
flopped my hand around. It was the weirdest sensation because it was wrapped around 3 times and looped around my wrist, and it came off this quickly. So it was like my hand flopped around, and so I got these nasty bruises all over my hand. It looks like I had just got in a huge fist fight. And so let go of the rope, and the wing immediately surged forward and pitched left, and he corrected it and caught it and was able to come in for a soft-ish landing, but right at the end, the top of the wing caught the power lines, and they shredded the top of the wing, and he fell the last 5 feet to the ground.
Damn.
It's probably
Why do
good
you
that
guys
that happened.
death? Seriously, every single year, you guys decide to go out for an expedition and say, you know what? Let's tempt. We're mortals. Let's tempt the gods of death and see if we can really piss them off this year.
So far, we're in good favor with them.
No, you're not. You almost died 1,000 times. If anything, death is
Almost.
damn it, I got
Doesn't
close.
Anyway, it sounds a lot scarier than it was. At least
No, it sounds exactly as scary as it was.
I should post the video. I'll have to ask Nathaniel if he's okay with it. But yeah, so bye yellow paraglider. It was we had a good run, but yeah, I'm looking into getting another mid-range paraglider and also a tandem glider so I can take passengers.
Nice.
Anyway,
That'd be fun.
After that
wonder-
story, no.
Sign me up. Just steer clear of the power lines.
I've never had an accident under power. No pun intended.
Yeah, no, none at all.
Anyone else? Anyone else with a
Sorry.
story over the last 2 weeks?
Just legal stories, if you want to get into those. Had a case dismissed because the guy couldn't prove it at all, and I just kind of sat there and said, "All right, go ahead."
Sounds like a nice paycheck.
Sadly, yeah, I really don't like making money off other people's stupidity.
Hey man, that's
I
how
love
America
doing it.
works.
You wouldn't want to be a YouTuber then.
No, they accused my client of some stuff. It wasn't even there, so I just said, "All right, let's set a quick trial and go ahead and prove it." And
that's
sure enough,
awesome.
the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I got a call from I think the head partner of the firm. They're like, "Yeah, so we're willing to dismiss."
You're like, no, I'm
Willing-
taking
willing
this to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, go ahead. No.
Taking this to the president, because that's how it works.
Matt, I have a
Bad
question.
idea.
Matt, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I don't want this to go off too off on a tangent, but the net neutrality thing.
This podcast never goes off on tangents.
No,
Sable.
seriously.
I'm really
The net
neutrality-
neutrality thing.
That's
Could
very
the-
relevant to
The
this
Supreme
podcast.
Court ever go hey, this is crossing the line of human rights or whatever by taking the internet and selling it to the highest bidder? We're gonna make it to where it's now utility.
Could it?
Could the Supreme Court do that?
Well, they would have. So the Supreme Court can't act on its own. They have to have a case put in front of it. So
Okay.
in theory, if it were to ever go that way, you'd need the right case and the right argument. Could they do it? Well, yeah, I suppose they could. I don't.
Matt, do you
I
want to be famous?
Could they do it? Yes. Yes, they could.
Yes. But to answer your question, I honestly haven't looked into the net neutrality stuff as much as I probably should, so I don't want to comment on what's currently going on.
Okay.
But yeah, if the question is put in front of the Supreme Court and they decide to take on the case to review it, they don't have to. They can choose to.
We're
And-
bored. We'll do it.
Well, they
Okay.
only have so much time for so many cases, so
Well, yeah. This net neutrality thing, let's be honest, it's not that big of a deal.
Honestly, like, or is it still an open window right now for people to like contact?
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
been meaning
So
to
everybody that's watching, or whether you're watching it now or later, guys, you know, there's
Maybe
a lot
we
of
should
information
explain
out
what net
there.
neutrality is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of
Basically,
confused information about what it is.
Because people are like, net neutrality is bad. It's like, no,
No, it's not.
it's good. They're trying to get rid of it. That's what's bad.
It basically allows like internet service providers to raise prices and throttle websites that they consider competition and get away with it. Like,
yeah, well,
I'm not sure if y'all knew this, but like,
you don't treat all content the same, right? I mean, I think that's.
you know what's
It's kinda
creepy? Is Comcast made this statement a few days ago or something?
Yeah.
Where they're like, yeah, we will stand by net neutrality and stand for it. And then as soon as they discovered that they can actually get rid of it, they removed their promise. So they're full of shit. They're absolutely full of it. And I love how the guy, Ajit, whatever fuck his name is, he's like, people are trying to humanize him with his giant Reese's cup coffee mug. It's like who cares? He's a piece of shit. Like, this guy, he worked for Verizon. It's a conflict of interest. This guy worked as an executive for Verizon, and now he works for the FCC. I don't know how this isn't criminal. It's really messed up.
I agree with you. Because if I don't, you're gonna get angry.
And we'll get it.
It is, folks. If you haven't, it is worth your time to at least become at least a little bit educated on what's going on, and to be able to contact the people that you contact. This is why, why we vote, why we put certain people in, and we're able to hold them at their neckties and say, "You better do this."
Well, the Donald was
the
the FCC commissioner spot. So
Which Donald?
the Donald.
Donald
The
Duck.
duck?
Donald Duck.
No,
I never trusted it. No, but like, I'm saying in reference to the people that we're contacting right now, people that will vote on this, people that
Well,
have
it's
anything to do with this.
It's up to
That's
like
why-
representatives always have some weight to it, but it's the 5 people on the board for the FCC. 3 of them are voting against net neutrality. The 2 of them are not, and the 2 who aren't are they're the 2 ladies. I'm just saying that. So you can also send support to them if you want to. But hey, thank you for standing up for our rights and not being a sold out piece of garbage.
And also, yeah, the biggest thing I can say, just make sure you're educated about it. Go read exactly what it is that they're considering, as opposed to whatever you're hearing or reading.
Go to battleforthenet. Whatever, and it can give you the lowdown of what's going on.
I don't know, man. That's not the American way. Best thing
I'm
to
sorry.
do is get really emotionally involved in one side without actually understanding what's going on, and then vote from emotion and not
That's
logic.
America.
Yeah, America. All right. Well, no, I'm glad you brought that up because that is a very relevant topic right now, and so yeah, so that we were able to get that out there.
Put it this way: if net neutrality like goes away, like we wouldn't be able to stream like as easily as we do.
I worry about a lot of
To the,
things.
podcast panel at EQLA. I came in 5 minutes late. Now I got to leave about 20 minutes in. But it's I'll see you next time.
The good
Bye,
news is
Matt.
that if we lose net neutrality, see you, Matt. If we
Bye,
lose it,
Matt.
I guarantee you that it's going to become a huge thing to vote on for the next election, and people will work fast to revoke it. But
Yeah.
it's going to be a
It's
painful
really
next few
hard to
years.
revoke something once it's been put into place. Look at ethanol.
I don't know much
Really,
about
like
it.
as soon as something gets a foothold, then lobbyists come into play, and even if it's proven that whatever it is bad afterwards, it's basically a business at that point.
Well, dude, that's what government is in general. I mean, I don't want to sound like a conspiracist or anything. I don't want to get too off sidetracked. I want to talk about cartoons in a bit, but like, it pains me because I look at this net neutrality stuff, and it just kind of reminds me that this is just one discussion. There's so many things in this world that are just decided by who has the most money, and that's it. And it really makes me upset because it's like I have no power over it. I'm just an average Joe. I can vote every so
Aliens
often.
need to invade, damn it!
Yeah, I know. We need to unite or just get wiped out and be done with this stupid game.
The problem is
Well, that's dark.
Start over. Start over the game of civilization.
Well, the problem is humanity. I mean, government is an extension of humanity. It's what happens when you put a few people in charge of a lot
Well,
of
we
people.
need government though.
It's instinctive for us to look out for ourselves. And yes, we do need government, but it's very hard for government to be fair.
There was an episode of Rick and Morty where they're like talking about they dismantled the purge thing, and then they like reassembled.
Oh yeah, he was like, I made
But that is kind of what happens, though.
Yes, it is.
make this
I mean,
currency
because
worth
we know things a certain way. The thing is that I think we have this sense of justice, right? And
Yeah.
we know what we think is fair, but not everybody, first of all, not everybody agrees on it. Not everybody realizes that they are going to look out for number one instinctively, especially if push comes to shove. It's easy to say, I care about that person, but when it's that person or you're going to go for you. You know what I mean? And
Well,
I
because
think
these people who are also paid off too. Like it's amazing to me what the human experience. I like to think the majority of humans on this planet are good people, or at least have an idea of like what is right versus what is wrong, and prefer to do what's right. That being said, though, you give a person a taste of power, and I think like the greed grows within them, where they go, well, hold on, what can I do next?
Well, I agree with that, but I don't think that they think like everybody justifies their actions to themselves. Everybody does. And there's another thing that I think is a huge problem is that people tend to romanticize, and when we don't understand completely everything that's going on, or we won't try to understand. We have this mentality that like the opposition is evil, and they're bad and they're terrible and they should all be killed. I've seen that mentality repeatedly, and that's why I try not to adopt it personally. There are things that I completely disagree with and things that I definitely do not like about government, but I realize that it's a product of the human condition. It's part of being, a human society trying to cooperate and work as one when everybody instinctivly is looking out for their own needs before the needs of others.
Yeah, but there's also like I don't know. I've seen
move
videos
on?
of people.
Please, can we please?
No,
Why are you laughing now?
Y'all can start your own podcast and talk about political stuff there.
Yeah. No, you're right. This isn't the time or the place. Let's talk about Coco. Have you guys seen Coco yet?
Yes, we saw it last
Is
night.
there anyone here who hasn't seen Coco? For the record, I want to just to fall back and then to push forward.
Oh my god.
Again, everybody's affected by this, so that's why I support us bringing this topic up here on this podcast, and I think that it's always good to hear discussion in regards to it. So, like I said, thank you for bringing it up, Saber, because it is important for everybody to know. Some people might just be skirting by not realizing how important this is. Now, as you said, a segue.
Can I say one last thing before we move on? Just one small thing.
Okay.
I think it is a little bit. No, I do want to highlight that I think it's a little bit bogus that the U.S. alone decides this. That there's all these other countries in the world, and they're just kind of at the mercy of this country to decide. And I think it's like that should highlight that this is really messed up.
I have a question then, and I know Sarah right now is like, no, but I thought I saw that like other people from other countries, like some countries have had this happen already.
Yeah.
Well, as in like it happened. It's happened in India. Apparently, it's happened in I think it was New Zealand or something. I forget. But like, yeah, I mean, I've heard places like South Korea who have amazing internet providers. But the thing is, like, the U.S. government kind of is like at the forefront of this stuff, so they kind of set the baseline for everybody else, and it sucks.
Yeah, so that's again, guys, why this is a big deal. So I know we want to discuss.
Yeah, let's move on to Coco.
Coco, but at the same time, folks, for those that haven't seen it yet, we're not gonna.
We're not gonna spoil.
We won't spoil. Is there anyone here in the podcast that hasn't seen Coco yet?
I have not. I will get out for a quick sec though.
Okay, Sarah, should we? I don't know if you have one ready. A spoiler thing. A spoiler page.
Why would we? We're not gonna spoil anything.
Let's not spoil it.
Okay.
We're gonna talk very generally. Have our thoughts on the movie.
No, not a single spoiler. I say.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So, what's good is Gabe hasn't seen it, so
Yeah, so there's no chance of spoilers is what he's getting at. Thanks.
So I'll put all those. I'll put jokes relevant to it in Whose Line.
Thank you.
So, I'm just curious. In general, what did you guys think of Coco?
Loved it.
That
It was good.
fantastic.
I thought it was good.
There you go, Pixar killing it again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic.
I think it surprised me because honestly, going into it, I wasn't that stoked about it because I think everybody kind of had the assumption that this was going to be just kind of like a Book of Life type of deal.
No,
but it's definitely a
it's so
different.
far from it.
It's a very different movie.
The commercial made me think when I was looking at it. It's like, wow, look at all the attempted cultural references they're trying to throw in, like with the to that specific culture. It looked kind of funny to me, but I am looking for. I've heard really good things about it.
So
Yeah.
something that Paleo brought up that was a good point is that the first trailer for Coco was pretty bad.
Yeah.
The second
that's
trailer with the do 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 do
Bittersweet
do,
Symphony.
that was
Yeah.
wonderful. I love that trailer. It like, gave me goosebumps. Because there's the debate over Book of Life versus Coco, and people are questioning like, oh no, Book of Life has already done this. Well, it's like, well, way to put Mexican culture in a little bottle.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more to it than just one story,
Right.
and Coco proves that, and it's fantastic.
Cocoa Puff.
Yeah,
It was... Go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say one thing that Book of Life did like different than Coco, or I guess Coco did different than Book of Life, is that Coco sort of goes more into the meaning of the holiday,
Yeah.
whereas Book of Life it goes into like the lore of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because Book of Life had a lot of these like big like entities.
Yeah,
that you
Saboba
followed.
and
Yeah.
Garcia.
La Muerte. La Muerte or something
No,
like that.
but yeah, and Coco, yeah, it really feels like Coco's talking about the meaning of the holiday.
Yeah.
I like that this is a movie that it you know, for me, part of the Spanish culture that you know, this is how they do their holidays, this is how they celebrate their ancestors.
Yeah.
But I loved it in the sense that I felt like for someone who knew nothing or just about felt like I know nothing, I felt like it also did a great job of kind of explaining how it, you know, this is how it's perceived, how, you know, why they do what they're doing, and kind of the idea behind it all. And I thought, you know, as far, and this should be a surprise, I thought the movie was beautiful. Like the visuals and everything were just fantastic.
Well, something that Laura and I did is we watched partially Book of Life again after watching Coco, and there were people who are saying like, look at the Land of the Dead from Book of Life and how it looks so much better than Coco. And I think that's not fair because, again, you can't judge a trailer by, you know, and think that that's what it's going to be like in the final product,
Yeah.
which was far from it for Coco.
What about the
Because
MLP
the
movie?
what's that?
I said, what about the MLP movie?
Exactly. For
I thought you said, what about B movie?
I heard it too.
You like
It,
that?
well, the in Coco, I noticed that like this is where Pixar really shines through as a studio. Is that like Pixar in Coco, even whether it's the Land of the Dead or Miguel's village, it looks so rich and full. While Book of Life is a lot more empty, doesn't have as much
Yeah.
detail. Now, both movies are beautiful in their own, you know, respective ways. But Coco, like Paleo said, it went more for the meaning of the holiday. I like how the skeletons in the movie, because people were also criticizing saying the skeletons look stupid. I'm like, no, everything at the end looked great, and there's a great story that isn't as basic as you think it is. So highly recommend it.
I'm excited.
It sucks.
See it now.
It's Newsy
I mean, kind of touching on the style. I guess I'll need to like watch Book of Life again, but I still like really loved at least the very first scene where you first like see the world of the dead or whatever it is. But I don't know. It's interesting because for Coco, like when you first see that like the land of the dead, I feel like it's so big that I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of details that are lost because it's such a big and wide shot, and there's like, because actually right before the movie they showed like a thing like how they placed the
They did.
they're very proud of it, and I'm like, damn, that's really fucking cool, but like, I don't know, it kind of gets lost on me with it being, I don't know. It's almost
so both movies, for the record, both people who made the movies, the one, a lot of people made the movies, but the two people who are in charge of making the movies, they both praise each other and they both support each other, and they both get that Mexican culture is not really touched upon, and it's really refreshing to see both of these movies come out and have two different stories. Like, people need to keep in mind that there's more than just one plot. It's not like it's a Christmas movie where you can only do like, we gotta save Santa or something.
Yeah, I guess to kind of finish my point, because I was very bad at I was being very bad at trying to portray. I very much enjoyed it better when like the characters were inside of the city rather than like having that whole shot like looking at the whole damn thing like in one thing, because there's just so much going on. But I really enjoyed like getting closer looks at the location, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Take a closer look.
Now on our next podcast in 2 weeks, I actually would like to bring up Coco again and actually start talking about a little bit more of the story elements and whatnot. But one thing, and again, we're not spoiling anything, but I am curious, did anyone here cry during the movie?
I teared up a couple times.
Now, was it crying or was it like choked up?
I got choked up one time. I teared up one time, and then I choked up one time.
Okay, yeah, because like I know when Sarah and I discussed it right after the movie ended, we both we were like, because I've seen people saying like I cried like 5 times, I was bawling. For me, I was like, well, there were scenes that I got choked up with, but I never was like.
I don't know all these terms. I got teared up. I got choked up. Then I got
teared up. Teared up means that you have like a teardrop coming at you from your eye. Choked up is when you go.
In your throat. Ball in your throat. Yeah.
What happens when you like can't breathe and someone needs to come behind you and press on your navel?
Do you need me to come behind you, Gabe?
Well, yeah, but that's.
I was watching Coco and I was weeping. I was like, oh! Screaming.
Sorry for wearing headphones.
Your microphone did not like that.
No.
I did though.
I love
it. The only movie. Actually, I have a question for you all. A quick little side note. Yes. What's a movie that you actually like it really got you? Where you actually like really cried?
A Monster Calls.
What's that?
A Monster Calls.
A Monster Calls.
I thought it'd be Free Willy.
No. I rewatched that recently. I did not
Flipper.
cry.
How about?
But A Monster Calls is basically about a kid like getting over the fact that his mom is slowly dying.
Dang it! Why would anyone watch a movie like that?
For me, it's Whisper of the Heart.
Earlier this year, it's really good.
Space Jam for me.
My brother likes the movie Me, Earl, and a Dying Girl, and he forced me to watch it. I was just like, it didn't even make me cry, it just made me mad. I was like, this is unflipping necessary. What? It's not scary? Let's write the saddest story we can, because there's not enough tragedy in life as it is.
What about you, Hero?
Nothing on this planet's ever gotten me as bad as Up. I had to almost leave the theater legitimately.
Which part of Up?
No, it's not even. Okay, so legitimately, I get why everyone says
Russell
the beginning.
showed up.
I get why everyone says like the beginning is like sad. I agree, like it's a sad point, but that was just like a little choked up. It's at the end. I've said this before. I'm not sure if I'm
the Ellie badge.
On this pod. Yes. When he's like, I present to you the Ellie badge. I was like, I have to leave the theater. I was about to climb all over this floor.
Well, the movie was over.
Mess.
No,
there's something so beautiful about that scene. It's like you didn't really have parents. He doesn't really have a son. They both need love in their life, and they that's. It. I was like, oh my god.
That'll always get me. Movies about relationships always get me. I don't know what that means about my manhood, but Yeah, as far as
Speaking about movies about relationships, like recently this year, I watched 500 Days of Summer with Hero, and I just got mad. I was like,
Can I share a movie that made me cry?
Go ahead.
The end of All Dogs Go to Heaven. I was literally crying.
Oh, where
'cause
Charlie has to pop off.
Yeah, because it was right after my dog Buddy passed away, and I was like in my bedroom, like I had to pause the movie, and I was like crying so hard, and I think sometimes for a certain movie, like certain movie scenes, it depends on what you're going through in life at the time. For me, if my dog didn't pass away and he was fully healthy, I probably wouldn't be as much. But like at that moment, it was like, no, I can't do this. I was crying. How about for you, Sarah and Race?
Whisper of the Heart for me always makes me cry.
Still
Never
need to watch
fails.
that.
I'm always bawling. Like at a particular certain spot in that movie.
I don't think so.
Thought of one. I didn't think I had one, but I do.
Which one?
I'm just pausing for effect. No, I'm just kidding. It just got really quiet, and then it threw me off. Cinderella Man. Has anyone seen that?
I've heard of it.
Wait,
I've heard of it, but I haven't.
Is that the boxing movie by chance?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, I have seen it.
It's really good. It's a true story about a boxer in the Depression who is just the best man ever. My God, he is such a compassionate, caring person. It's just I'm not into boxing. I don't watch boxing. It doesn't interest me at all. But that movie is just amazing. It like gives me hope for humanity. It's like this person existed and he cared this much about his family. It's just
Right. I remember.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then Thomas Newman did the score, so anytime he's at a movie, it gets me. Really, all his music gets me. That's why I'm so excited that he actually wrote a song named after a character I played. I was like, what?
After Race answers a question, I have like one last follow-up question that's movie related. If you don't mind me
And
asking.
I actually have something to add as well.
What's that, Sarah?
Okay. So, I don't know. I think it's something that can be easily overlooked, but like I kind of like going back to Saber when you were comparing like Book of Life and Coco, like visually wise. I think sometimes people forget that there's budgets involved and like manpower, and I'm pretty sure Book of Life was that I can't remember the studio's name. I'm pretty sure that was their second movie that they ever made.
Real effects.
But yeah, I don't know. I gotta remember that stuff, and it's a factor. But yeah, I guess I'll have to watch Book of Life again. But I feel like they still did pretty damn good, given the amount of people that they had and the budget.
I mean, yeah, Book of Life is still their best looking film because their other films are like Freebirds.
Yeah.
Yeah, Freebird.
Freebirds and they did Rock Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Book of Life is their best looking film by far.
I wanted to ask you guys. Race, I want you to answer the question. What's a movie has made you cry?
Hold on, I think his microphone's off. Hold on a second.
What's going on?
You ever like when you're watching a movie and you're getting choked up, and when you start to like cry, do you make like the ugly face when you cry, or is it just like the tear slowly rolls down? You're like, it got me. Oh no.
I
don't make a
what
face.
my crying face looks like.
Paleo doesn't even like frown. He just like
I've
tears
got
his part in his
earbuds.
eyes.
So like his microphone just went like kaput or something. He can't get it to work.
Oh, also, you know what? Hotel Rwanda. That movie.
I thought you were gonna say Hotel Transylvania.
Oh yeah.
Bring it
That
to
is
Oh my
smart.
god.
No, I won't be here long. I sorry about that, guys. My Discord just kind of died. I heard Saber say, "Hey, Race, what's yours?" And then all of a sudden I was trying to talk, and I'm like, "No, they can't hear me." So I was gonna say a couple things with this. What the movie I was initially gonna bring up was Up also, but it's a different scene than what Hirosashii was talking about. He's saying at the very end of the movie.
Very beginning.
No. Mine's
not
not
even that
the mine's not the beginning. For me, what absolutely kicks me in the shorts is when they it's the scene right after, God, what's the kid's name?
Russell.
Okay.
Kurt Russell.
We'll just call him the kid then. He it's like when right after they separate and he's kind of walking through his empty house and
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
and he's going through the picture book and for the first time he realizes there's more to the memory book. And then like she like it's basically like her saying like go live your life, you know, thanks for making mine so great. And that just I was like, oh man.
You can even describe this movie, and I'm getting choked up.
Or the scene when the Doberman's voice was all high pitched.
But I
cried every time Doug said squirrel.
What's the movie if someone said recommend a movie for me to watch? What's like the one movie you're like, no, you've got to watch this movie?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Atlantis.
You guys know my answer to this.
Yeah. We do.
Treasure Planet makes me
Yeah,
tear up. I
that's
just
right.
remembered.
Is it
I
for
couldn't hear yours. Yeah, what was yours?
Oh, I actually said Atlantis, but that's just kind of my stock answer. I don't actually know if it's still.
All right, so we got Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Jurassic Park, Zootopia. Here, what'd you say?
I didn't say anything. That's something I'd have to think about. I don't know.
You can come back to it later in the podcast. I think for me, I'd say the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Sorry, I fixed my mic. I didn't mean to derail you there, Saber.
It's all good.
Yeah,
so
but
continue with the podcast. And
there's something else I wanted to mention here.
But before you do, I want to bring something up myself.
But before Saber does, I have something else to add. No.
So before you do, Sarah, before it says I want to bring something.
I'm going to interrupt myself here and say...
Spirited Away. That's my answer.
Oh, yeah.
that's a good
that
one.
one's a good one.
Oh, God damn it. Why
I thought I owned that
I want your
movie.
answer.
And I don't.
For the...
Here, I'm going to hold you off there for a second. I'm going to cut you off there. I'm going to say Spirited Away myself.
So, there's... You mentioned earlier about, like, watching the All Dogs Go to Heaven movie and, like, how that hit you. I've told people that I think where Coco really gets people is, like you said, where they are in life, especially. And I mean, we're referring to a movie that's about the afterlife and about how people cry during it. Essentially, I feel like if somebody, this is the kind of movie that, like you said, if something's happened to you recently, like say you lost a loved one, I feel like that's where this will really hit you, like where there's some movies, I don't know why, there's two movies I was going to bring up that made me cry, and I think both of them were where I was, because I look back and I'm like, interesting. I've cried at Titanic, and it's and actually what gets me to cry in movies, by the way, a lot of it has to do with the movie, but more so than anything, the thing that will always push me over the edge is the music.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say for both, I cried with Titanic, but it wasn't watching the movie; it was listening to the soundtrack and just like thinking about like the families and everything. And I was like, oh, and for some reason it hit me really hard. And then also
Like an iceberg.
the movie Armageddon made me cry.
No, there's a scene. He's onto something here, which I want to follow. Like legitimately, I want to follow up with you on that one. But
I fell asleep when I went to go see Armageddon.
You don't deserve Bruce
That's
Willis,
one of
Leo.
my favorite movies, like ever.
Yeah, I was super tired. Like, and I was
So were the
just a
soldiers
kid in
who gave their
1998. I was just a kid in 1998, and I was super tired, and I fell asleep.
Enjoy
The
your
behind the scenes thing where Ben Affleck is like he asked Michael Bay, like, isn't it easier to train astronauts to use construction equipment than construction workers to learn how to be astronauts? And Michael Bay's like, shut up, Bruce Willis, just shut up. Or shut up, Ben, shut up.
Everyone, just shut up.
Two movies that actually got me really good. Actually, I just recalled is when the Two Towers, when Gandalf and the Rohirrim show up to save the Battle of Helm's Deep. That got me. But seeing that, another one that really got me was when in Chronicles of Narnia, when Aslan returns to like win the battle. I don't know why, but like just in combination with the music and seeing Aslan back in like his full glory made me like lose my mind. I cried so hard.
I did
The
not
ba-
think
So,
anyone
so
was
overwhelmed.
I
The
love
battles in the Narnia movies are so good. They're so
the scene where the two armies are running together and all the audio
Mhm.
drops except for a heartbeat. Boom, boom.
Mhm.
And then
That's
you hear
so
the sound of
iconic.
holding
It's
the
like,
sword.
why did Narnia came up with this? It's so cool.
No, another good topic. And this is, I like these topics because they're ones that we can always bring up every few months, and I feel like answers can change. So yeah, no, always good with the emotions and all that stuff. I'd like to now shift and you know, as
But
usual
that one
with our
scene in the Emoji Movie when Gene.
What was Sarah gonna bring up?
Who?
Sarah?
What? I wasn't gonna bring up anything.
Oh, when she said you were gonna interrupt.
Oh no, I was joking.
So Equestria LA 2017.
I thought we haven't talked about this yet.
Haven't talked about it yet. It was first off, just kind of a quick summary. I thought it was a really good convention. A great send off for what's been an amazing 4 events for Equestria LA. Real sad to see it essentially go, but all the staff, you know, from the very top with Casey, everyone through, I thought did a really good job. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was a fantastic weekend.
Yes.
Plus, on top of the fact that once again we got to hit up Disneyland as a group, we got to. There's a lot of just fun stuff over this weekend. So I guess in quick summary, as we'll get into details here, what did you guys think of Equestria LA?
I loved it. I really hope another convention can pop up in its place. Because LA is like, you know,
it should. I mean, Southern California is
capital of the world. Yeah, Paleo, you're right. Someone should be able to do this pretty easily.
10% of the population lives in Southern California.
There
should be.
I love pretty much all the conventions that I go to, you know, but there's something kind of really special about this one. I can't really put my finger on it, but it felt the most like the days of old for me. It felt like, wow, I'm back in, you know, 2012.
Yeah.
Old, but it you know, Alex S played and we were all hanging out and we invented a new dance move and, you know, and then we got the whole crowd to do it. Garnica played his last set. I mean, I don't know. It felt really good and also sad. It was bittersweet the whole time.
Yeah.
Sad to see it go, but yeah, I just thought everything went incredibly well, and yes, commend Casey and the whole team because it was just awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So the weekend and most of the stuff, or I should say most of like the nitty gritty details. If you guys want to check them out, I've posted all the vlogs, all the panels that we've had a part in. The only thing that I haven't posted is the Who's Line event, and that's because I'm working on getting some secondary footage to incorporate with the footage that I have.
Did somebody
right now.
find an SD card?
No, so I lost one of the memory cards from the weekend, and it contained footage of the Bronies Rack panel and the Who's Line. Luckily, the Bronies Rack both panels were what I call my main shot. But the reason I say luckily is that that's the one that doesn't capture the audio well. The other camera I set up is my audio capture and secondary shot. But for the Bronies Rack panel, I was able to just use that shot for the whole thing, and it worked out.
Nice.
The Who's Line, luckily, was in the main hall, and luckily they had a camera set up. I believe they were recording, so I'm working on seeing if I could get their footage to incorporate with mine.
I like how at conventions, you're always the one to put up panels first before the convention does.
I wonder if some conventions just kind of are like, well, we know who'll post. So,
Yeah.
there you go.
That's why we fly you out.
Come on out. But yeah, so the weekend started. Like I said, a lot of these stories. There might be a couple others that pop up, but They're in the vlogs. But I know Saber and Laura flew out on Wednesday night, met up with Sarah and I. We did some miniature golf, ate some barbecue, and then went to bed in anticipation for Disneyland on Thursday. Now, Paleo and Hero, you guys had kind of an interesting day leading up to Disneyland.
Yeah. We were
yeah.
we got at the we arrived at the airport at like 1 a.m. Both in different terminals.
Yep, I was in Terminal 7, he was in Terminal 2. So I tried to find how to get to Terminal 2. It was on the complete other side of the airport, which is like a horseshoe shape. So I walked around basically the entire circumference of the airport to get to Terminal 2 because I didn't know how far I had to go.
Now wait, so Paleo just sat there waiting?
Yeah.
Wow, Paleo, you made him walk all the way? Couldn't meet him
I
in
didn't
the
know it would be
international?
that far.
Oh, I could have told you. But yeah, so you guys eventually met up with us. You guys beat us to Disneyland.
Yeah. Because like we couldn't get like any sleep at the airport.
I got
because we were
sleep.
just trying to like. I didn't get any. So we just got like a bacon, egg, and cheese like muffin at the Starbucks there, and then we got
bacon, egg, and cheese muffins at the Starbucks.
knock or whatever. I don't know.
Dude, yeah, so we left and traffic was horrendous. I even like went around traffic and still got stuck in traffic and still made it faster than I would if I'd gone straight, like absolutely quickest way. It just traffic was terrible. But yeah, so we all met up, started our day in California Adventure, and I know that Laura and Hero got to experience the roller coaster for the first time out there. And then both of you also.
Yep.
Your Jax was. You're right. Wait.
Yeah.
Why am I forgetting this? Oh, because we went on it later that night. Okay.
Right.
I was like, they weren't with us yet. You're right. And then we
I
also
met you
went
guys
on.
Jax and I both met you when you got out of Space Mountain.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a real fun day. I don't know if you guys have any specific highlights you want to mention from Disneyland.
You were mentioning traffic really fast. It was 5:40, I think, when Paleo and I was starting to go over to the hotel.
Yeah.
In the super shuttle, and there was already traffic. I was like, "What is this place? What in the world? At 5:40 in the morning? Traffic? What is LA?"
Yeah.
Stands for Los Angeles. It's a city in California.
Thank you.
I mean, that is what I was worried about, because we were leaving. You always think like, oh, we're gonna leave early in the morning, and I'm like, oh crap, we're gonna hit work traffic, and it didn't fail. But yeah. I know we had a couple interesting interactions at Disneyland. One time I was vlogging in the Little Mermaid ride, and all of a sudden I felt some lady grab my hand.
So weird.
Oh, that was really actually kind of obnoxious.
like she grabbed my hand, pulled it back, to which I thought like it was someone saying like, you know, stop what you're doing, stop vlogging. And she just turned to me and goes, "You weren't in the shot," and then kept walking. And I was like, "Oh, thank you."
It's like, you could have just told me. Oh, I like when that one guy who was like Disney bounding as Mickey Mouse, like,
yeah,
hey, YouTuber.
Are you a YouTuber? Yeah. What's your name? Oh, and like he was just. I should have said no. I do not associate with those type.
I don't go to VidCon.
But yeah, so that. Can you guys think of any other stories? Anything?
The rocket ride that we went on?
Oh,
Just
when
like-
we were
The Guardians
screaming
of
at
the
people.
Galaxy.
Oh yeah.
No, not the Guardians one. Yeah, it might have been a Guardians ride. I don't remember.
No.
But
Oh,
yeah,
you mean the rocket, like the.
Yeah,
Yeah, the one where we swing around.
yeah, you just swing
Yeah.
around.
That's nice.
I'm sad I didn't go on it again. That was just such a pleasant 1 minute.
Let me tell you why our trip was well spent. It's because the time flew. Like literally, at least from my point of view, the Jedi are evil, but like, but seriously, like the entire weekend just like I blinked. Like I was on the plane, I blinked, and then I was off. Back on the plane heading back to Georgia, and it was like, wow, that was a fast weekend, but that's a good sign. That means it was well spent.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. It did go very quickly.
Yeah. We eventually met up with Gabe and Jax into the night and hit up a couple of rides. We never made it on the Cars ride because it got shut down later in the day and never reopened.
Yeah. That was disappointing because like Cars Ride is super fun.
I went on the
No,
Cars ride.
You went on Monday, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Just rub it in.
But
No.
I didn't get to go on the Guardians of the Galaxy one, and I really wanted to.
I lost hearing on the Guardians of the Galaxy
Because of Steven?
Yeah.
because I sat next to Hirosashii.
Okay.
Oh.
So Gabe, I will go on any roller coaster like on this planet. I love roller coasters, but when I do a drop, I need some X to my Y. When it is just Y, I die. I die.
That was beautiful. Did you write that down?
I need some X to my Y.
No, I did not.
Why I died. Dude, that's actually funny because detonators is what I used to call them because that was what the one dropping ride I had in South Dakota where I grew up was called. But yeah, I love the zero G feeling, and so
Same.
while I love roller coasters for their speed and stuff, I would love going on those, especially if it's like if I don't know what's happening. That's why I actually wanted to become a skydiver because I wanted to feel that weightlessness for as long as I possibly could, and then I realized that you don't feel weightless when you skydive because you hit terminal velocity and you're not accelerating.
It's not the theme.
Yeah. What is it like on what is the name of that ride? California Screamin'?
Yeah.
That was
That's
the.
yeah, the roller coaster. I was like, oh my god, I love roller coasters. Ah, and that was like, you want to go on Guardians of the Galaxy, the Tower of Terror ride? I was like, I don't want to, but I will.
Yeah.
And then I did it.
My
and
man.
Oh,
I
that's a
sat
spirit.
next to Race, and he got to hear real screaming, not like haha playful screaming, like I'm dying screaming.
That was Steven, isn't he?
It's a shame that yeah, you say you don't record on that ride, right?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one ride I don't record on.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
Speak-
I would have blew out your speaker anyway, or your mic anyways. So
Speaking of recording on rides, for those that have seen the vlogs already, I bought a night vision specific camera for this journey, so I could
Does it
film
work?
on
Oh,
the dark rides, and it sucked ass. It was the worst camera ever, and the footage, like I don't know how it gets that bad. I feel like you almost
Yeah,
have to.
why is it skipping?
I don't know. it
Yeah,
just
that was
sucked.
really weird. That was kind of bad.
But I used it anyways.
You should write to the company and you're saying, why does your camera suck?
I will.
No
When I
other
return it.
context. Just that question.
Yeah, why? Just tell me why. But yeah, so Thursday was a great day, and if you guys think of any other stories or whatnot from Thursday, bring them up. But
Oh yeah, Hero, are you gonna buy that Lion King painting canvas?
Oh yeah, Amazon.
oh my god, I just bought all these movie posters though. Yeah, I probably still will.
speaking of Lion King, Hero and Saber had matching shirts.
Okay.
Oh, they were so cute.
Yes,
So good.
we bought matching shirts. Same shirt.
He's in the bathroom. That's why he's not saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was like,
so
one of
you're
us has to
wondering-
change.
I guess.
Odd
Really.
Cool. On Thursday, for me, I had to leave early because I was staff, and I had to go to a staff meeting at the hotel at the convention center. And I got abandoned at a 7-Eleven at one point. Like, I guess not abandoned is not the right word, but like I started walking to the convention center because I couldn't find the fucking shuttle that would take me to it, even though like Matt had called the convention earlier that day, the hotel, and they told him, oh, it's just going to be the A bus or whatever. And he couldn't find it apparently because when I texted him, I was like, hey, which bus, where's the bus that y'all took? And he's like, oh, I don't know, we just walked. And I'm like, fuck. My feet are already dying, and now I have to walk 30 to 45 minutes to the convention center. So I got to a 7-Eleven, and I kept calling Matt. Apparently he was at dinner with like a lot of the convention people, and he wouldn't pick up his damn phone. I'm like, Matt, I've called like 6 times already. It's an emergency. And I was like on the street corner kind of like crying because I'm like, oh. But fortunately Matt finally picked up, and then he and another friend of his, what's his name? Jack Nolan. He occasionally works conventions. He came and picked me up, and I was like, thank you so much. But
apparently didn't he like turn to you and say, hey, you know who you should
really
check out at this
ACRacebest? And I was like, that's my fiance. And he was like, oh my gosh, I thought you looked familiar, but I didn't know exactly how. And yeah, he was kind of like geeking out, but yeah.
That's awesome.
So Friday was the beginning of Equestria LA, and I know some of us spent some time in the registration lines, and then things really got going after we ate In-N-Out, I think, because In-N-Out was like, let's all go, and then it was good food. I know Jack's Blade got to experience it for the first time. He liked it so much. I forgot about that. And then Jax actually went back for a second burger. So, yeah. And then we had a bunch of panels that we did, starting with riffing. We did a riffing is magic to Lost Unicorn. Yeah. And then Saber and I helped out with a charity art battle thing where they had two teams of show staff or people that work on the comics, and drew a bunch of stuff up for charity, so that was fun to be a part of. And then we also that day had the epic YouTuber panel, which went a heck of a lot better than I thought it would, just because we had so many people. I think we had like more than 10 people on this panel.
Yeah.
I think it was 13.
There were even folks on the panel, like I think I saw Kibby on the panel. I'm like, what's he doing up here? But whatever. And at that point, it's like,
YouTube?
What's that?
Does Kibby do YouTube?
I don't think he does.
Kibby was up there. I asked him later. I'm like, you didn't say a single thing during that panel, did you? He's like, no. I went up because Jay Holler said come up. So I said okay.
Which is funny because Kibby does like art and stuff, but I thought it was just kind of.
He just sat there. Somebody asked.
Ludicrous the panel was.
Yeah, somebody asked. Yeah, this is my +1. Somebody asked in the panel video, they're like, who's the guy with the sunglasses just sitting there? But yeah, like I said, I was curious to see how that was going to go because I figured it was going to potentially be a cluster with that many people, and it actually somehow was really well paced. I was really impressed. So that went well. And then we had the semi-perfect / POS podcast panel with all of us here that were on it. So that was cool. Woo. And we also had Garnica join us on that one.
Because Matt invited him up there.
Were there any other stories from Friday you guys can think of that probably aren't in the vlogs or anything else? The vlogs are huge this time.
Well, I mean, it was in the vlog, and it's also kind of referenced with our backsplash today, but Jeffrey finally got his Judy Hopps Dakimakura, and it's like 4 inches tall. So that's his. It's a miniature.
Has one and Jeff doesn't yet?
No, I have one.
Yes.
Oh, you have one.
But it's 4 inches tall.
Yeah. So Sarah said I could
That's
get
so
one.
small.
I gotta be real with you. Those small little pillows though, they look like tampons. I'm just being honest. Guys.
No.
They're multi-purpose.
You can use them as earplugs.
See, my thinking
Gross
is
waters.
that this stocky is small enough for him to lose very easily. So.
Sarah, what if I get
that
him?
why you let him
Sarah,
do
what if I take Ray's out for a bachelor party for take him to like a strip club or a nudist bar that's themed Zootopia with a big old elephant leaning over.
Well, you're not gonna find one, but I mean.
What if I give him a Zootopia Judy Hopps like sex doll?
No, stop it.
Next topic. Next topic.
Judy Hopps AI robot.
Hirosashii.
What?
I'm just joking. It wouldn't be a sex doll. It'd just be a big old plush.
Next
Like that Lyra Heartstrings.
All right.
So,
Let's,
Saturday at Equestria LA was awesome. This was what we thought was going to be a slower day for us because we only had, I know Saber and I were part of the charity auction, and we also took part in the Zootopia Minute. Saber, Paleo, and I joined. Does he go by Chocolate Pony? Is that still what he technically goes by?
I guess, but his name's Alex.
What? I did not know that.
All right,
Yeah.
Josh.
Wait, what?
Who goes by their name?
No, he's really generous. He gives us free stuff all the time.
Yeah, I also bought because he's the guy that had the Judy Dakimakura.
Yeah.
And I bought the other ones that he had, a Sunset, Twilight, and Starlight one, because he was selling them for 10 each, but he gave me all three for 20.
This is funny because when you walked into the dealer room, you're like, oh, I can't buy anything, and then like literally like 10 minutes.
I saw it. And I was like, man, I want them.
Oh, now I'm trying to remember. Was the appreciation panel on Friday or Saturday?
Oh, the appreciation panel.
When was that? What day was that
Wasn't
on?
this Saturday?
I think it was
Sunday.
Saturday. I think it was Saturday.
Was it?
No,
Fuck, I don't
It was
know.
Friday.
Oh,
I
Friday
was
evening,
watching-
yeah.
Yeah,
Probably.
I was watching the Friday vlogs because I haven't finished the Friday vlog yet. I haven't gotten to Saturday, so it was definitely on Friday.
Okay, so that's okay. So that's something that happened on Friday. So the Black Griffin appreciation. Who's in the chat? So for that we a bunch of us came out to that one. I know Jax was there, Paleo, Hirosashii, myself.
Laura and I we dropped by for like a minute.
They were
It
there for a
was pretty
minute.
packed in there.
You don't appreciate Gabe enough.
Yeah,
Apparently not.
I always come to your appreciation panels.
You gotta make a saber. You gotta make
a secret.
you gotta make a Saberspark appreciation panel at the next convention.
Don't like 3 people will show up like ironically. That's it.
Let me. That's what I expected, though. That is okay, because Nora. It was actually Nora and Alex are the ones who put this together,
Alex
and
S?
they didn't tell me. No, Alex.
Aleximus Prime.
Prime. He's an artist. He's done art for like all of you guys. I'm sure you've seen it before. It's very recognizable style.
You guys said Aleximus in my Alexa. Shut up, Alexa! Alexa! Shut up!
Alexa, order takeout.
Fuck. Okay. Sorry.
That's very funny.
I literally just got
But anyway,
her the other day.
Sorry. No, but they set it up as a surprise for me. They didn't tell me. But it got approved. And I found out about it about a week before the convention from some people writing, tweeting me saying, "Wow, I knew you were cocky, but this is just ridiculous that you need to make your own appreciation panel for yourself and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, here we go." So what I expected is for most of the people in there to be in there to rip me a new. So I kind of went in like, okay, let's do this.
Just bend over right now.
ready
We'll
to-
rip you a new one.
Yes. Yeah, I was ready to just kind of suck it up and take my beating. But I was very surprised with, first of all, the amount of people that actually came, and that all of them to actually like appreciate me. But like, you know, I don't know. That was humbling and surprising and just weird.
A couple of us spoke during it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You weren't there yet.
I wasn't. I had autographs, so I had kind of jump in at the last second.
We were telling stories about you.
Raze, I didn't realize the joke you made until I watched the vlog when you were saying you appreciate Gabe Newell.
Yeah.
Gabe Newell?
Yeah.
I walk up and I'm like, I really like that he makes video games. And people are like sitting there like, Gabe doesn't make video games?
I believe that Half-Life 3 will come out.
That's how much I appreciate him. Yeah. So that also happened on Friday. Saturday, Gabe, you mentioned how this convention kind of felt like a throwback to like years ago.
Yeah.
And the energy and everything. I was so excited, and I didn't realize it until Saber pointed it out. But, you know, I went down to the concert. Jax was there. I know, Paleo, you were there for a while, and Hirosashii. But Saber showed up, and Saber hung out for the entire concert with us. And so what was it, like, were you just feeling energized that night? Like,
yeah, energized. I felt like I wanted to actually, like, I don't know. Usually I called it a night before the concerts because I'm just tired. But I thought, like, this is a pretty great lineup of people playing music, and I want to be there to support them because some of them I won't see them again probably.
That was Garnet.
Or at least not for a long time. And I thought, my friends down there, let's go down there and dance. Let's go down there and jam out and have fun.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
It was great. As Gabe also mentioned, we, I guess you could say, created or invented a dance. So this happens from time to time where somebody does something but doesn't realize, like, oh, that's funny. I started doing like this really slow yoga thing right when a drop would happen during the music, to which then Gabe, your brother Nate, was like, oh, watch this, and then he did his,
take it a step further.
Yeah, and then we all started doing it, and then we got the whole concert to do it, where essentially right when the drop happens, we all just froze. And
awesome!
Didn't you say Garnica like looked up at one point?
Yes. Okay. So when we were doing it because it was funny. Like, we were laughing our heads off. We were also rolling around on the ground, which for obvious reasons we didn't get the whole concert to do that. But when we taught it, first it was just you, me, and Nate, and then we brought in Steven and I think Jax and
Saber.
Saber is Steve.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. And then I think Paleo and Hero, you guys kind of brought it to the center, and before the drop of the song, just kind of tried to teach it to everybody. And just said, "Watch us, because that's all you could hear." And by the third go, everyone was doing it, and that's when Kevin Garnica looked up, and I don't know if anybody else saw his face. I happened to be looking at him. And he had, I don't know, does anybody watch The Office? Do you remember that scene where there's the raccoon, the cheeseburger in the parking lot, and Andy turns around and makes this face, like the most shocked, excited, happy face in the world? That is precisely the face that Garnica made. And let's see if I can actually probably Google it. Andy, Office, surprise, raccoon. Nope. Just a bunch of really cute raccoon pictures.
I think you might be talking about Parks and Rec.
No, it's definitely The Office.
Oh, okay.
Because they're doing a silence competition. And then Andy, this is Andy Bernard, not Andy Dwight.
Ah, okay.
Andy, Office, raccoon. Dang it, I can't find
But yeah,
I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he makes this, like...
I forgot about the silence competition.
Yes! And then he comes and tries to describe it without making any noise. Let's see.
Yeah, no,
I'm searching it for myself now to see if I can... Yep, I found it. Can you post screen caps in the Discord?
Yeah. Probably. You can just copy and paste.
Yeah.
Make sure you
hold on, I got it.
Tabs you don't want people to see.
Everyone can keep talking while I'm finding this. But yeah, anyway, there it is.
I was just gonna say the concert was wild. I think Garnica mentioned that it was probably the most people that he's seen at a concert past midnight. There were a lot of people that were still there to see the end of Garnica's set.
And the end of Garnica.
And the end of Garnica.
Yeah, he was shot right afterwards.
Just pop him right in the back of the head, and then that's how we get rid of our Bernie musicians.
Like, you don't leave the fandom leaves you.
Wow.
Say that, tell that to the living tombstone.
Oh.
There.
What? Okay.
No, he's way too successful to even care.
I have over 1 million subscribers, so I don't know who you are anymore. I'm kidding. He's a good guy. Anyway, that's the face Kevin made. I just posted it in the Discord. Can you see it?
I gotta look it up now.
Outstanding.
I don't know if I can post.
Here, I wonder if I can post it in the chat for people to see. 106. Okay. Here, I'm gonna post it in the chat. At 106 is the face.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I see it.
But yeah, by the way, you could have actually linked the time in there. They have a share option.
Yeah, that's alright. That's alright.
Just letting the guy know.
I don't know how to do it. I tried to.
Great though. Much
Copy video URL at current time. Okay, there it is.
But yeah, so Saturday was awesome. And it's like as we were jumping up and down, I think we were all looking at each other, realizing that we were gonna all regret this when we had Who's Line the next morning.
Oh my gosh.
I think Saber lost his voice. I got shin splints.
My voice is still kind of gone. Like it's just not coming back.
It took mine a while.
Too, actually.
Yeah, it took mine a while as well. Mine eventually recovered though, so you don't have to send me any cards saying get well soon.
I did anyway though.
Get well never.
Thank you. Get well
But
never.
I do that just in general for your mental health.
Paleo did this thing at Disneyland where we were walking down Main Street.
Oh yeah.
Saber and I just turned around like, what are you doing? Because all we hear is, I see trees.
I was saying that my car drive over here.
I see trees. What are you doing?
I see.
What a wonderful world.
Like, Haley, what's wrong with you?
I was tired, and I was.
I see
grass. Clouds of white. So Saturday was incredible. The vlog has a lot of this footage of us at the concert. You could see Garnica's last set and essentially his goodbye. And then Sunday rolled around, and that was funny enough, where we had our, I guess you could say, two biggest panels, which being the Who's Line and the Bronies Rack panel. Bronies Rack ended up being the last panel, like regular panel of Equestria LA ever. So that's kind of cool. And then, of course, they had their closing ceremonies, and we all said goodbye. Now, one thing you won't see in the vlog, and I actually had Sarah, I freaked out because I posted the vlog, and I noticed that it started after the Who's Line, and I'm like, Sarah, did I mess up? I didn't vlog anything before the Who's Line, and the reason for that is that we got up that morning and went across the street to Target, and we were going to pick up a piano for Nate to play on, and I didn't even consider that they might not have one. Well, guess what? They didn't.
Yeah.
So
we had to go to another Target.
We went driving around Anaheim looking for what we were driving to another Walmart, actually, a different Walmart. And we happened
Best Buy wasn't open yet.
Yeah,
so.
And we happened to be right by. We saw Target. We're like, well, let's try that one. They had one, and we got it. And then we ran to In-N-Out so we wouldn't all be, performing on an empty stomach. And then we made it back, and that's why there's no like morning Sunday vlog. I didn't even do an intro because I'm pretty sure I figured I had vlogged before that point. But yeah, at some point on Sunday, I ended up losing my memory card, unfortunately. And I had that moment too where I took it out of my camera and I thought to myself, where should I put this right now so I don't lose it? And for some reason, my mind said, put it in your pocket. And I think what happened was I pulled out my phone at some point and the card probably slipped out with it. So, oops. Won't make that mistake. Luckily, it didn't have, like I said, like the biggest thing it had on it was the Equestria, or I was gonna say Equestria, was the Who's Line secondary shot. So I'm working right now and seeing if I can get that all squared away. But yeah, and then man, Sunday kept going. We ended up eating Old Spaghetti Factory with Gabe and his family. So that was cool.
That took a while to figure out.
It did. Your brother was adamant about going to the ranch.
Oh, wait, who was adamant?
Your brother.
Oh, yeah. I think he was just trying to get a decision made. He's, like, he's an officer in the Navy, so he kind of takes charge when there's confusion.
So we went there for 10 minutes, and then we left.
And then because there was like a 2-hour wait.
Well, because Saber saw old people making out.
Well, that was why we wanted to stay.
Oh, you're right. You're right. But then we ended up going, after we said our goodbyes to Gabe and his family, we met back up with Jax, Hero, and Paleo at an arcade. And,
round one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Race, speaking of like putting things in your pocket, like as soon as I bought my my round one card to play games with, like after I did my first game, I put it in my pocket with my phone, and then I took out my phone as I was going past one of the machines, and my card fell out onto the ground, and I didn't see it. But thankfully, somebody there was like, "Hey, you dropped your comb and your card." I was like, "Oh."
They really only wanted to
because otherwise I would have like wasted like $30 right there.
That would
you still have some credits on your card, so that
no,
when
I
it
used them all.
Oh, you used them all? What?
Yeah.
I was playing rhythm games like non-stop. Well, I guess rhythm game their sets last a really long time though.
Yeah, they do. And I was playing a lot of other stuff.
But it was fun. There was a hilarious moment where Saber and I played this horse racing game.
Oh my gosh.
It broke, didn't it?
That was so stupid.
Me and Jax tried that, and we were like, man, what the...
For me, like, okay, this is what happened is the game started, and we were racing against each other, but we weren't on the same map.
Yeah.
And, like, I think you were on a mountain map, and for some reason that elevated me, but I was on, like, this, like, field map.
I was confused.
Flying through the sky, like, running into trees, getting stuck in branches, and stuck in a rock.
Not
we
kidding.
spent the next 2 minutes just staring at the screen with our horses, like, running in place.
Yeah, so what happened?
Is that on the vlog?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god.
Sarah was filming. What happened, like, I can't explain the glitch, but I asked Sarah, I'm like, aren't Saber and I racing each other? Because I'm on this, like, snowy mountain ridge, and he's, like, 15 feet above a horse track. And I'm like, well, wait, so what? But you could see me on his screen running by. and as he all of a sudden got stuck up against a tree, and his horse just kept running. Like, he wasn't going anywhere, but it was fine. I'm laughing my ass off, and all of a sudden I get stuck up against a wall, and I'm not able to get unstuck. So we both literally spent however much it was to play that game, only to get stuck within like 15 seconds of starting it, and it's like a 2-minute game. And we were just sitting there. I was laughing so hard, and then it even had like the end screen where it shows like how well you did, and the camera's like trying to figure out where Saber's horse is. It's like, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that, like I said, that was kind of the end of our. We said our goodbyes there to Jax, Hero, and Paleo, and then we drove off, headed home, and then on Monday, Laura and Saber flew home, and I was at work, and that was the end of Equestria.
Yeah.
Over.
Now, Sarah, I didn't mention this part. You don't really show up much in the Saturday vlog because you ended up being busy yourself.
Yeah, I was handling for Kareen Ingle, creator or director of Unikitty, coming soon to Cartoon Network.
Wow, that was a good pitch.
I know I've said this like a lot in other places, but like, man, that panel, the Women in Animation panel.
Yeah.
I love that panel so much.
Yeah, it was very
so good.
It was a highlight.
All of those ladies are like hilarious, like actually funny.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, that was a real good. That also, I wasn't planning on it, but for some reason I just ended up filming the whole thing. So I did post that panel. I think I didn't plan on like recording the whole thing, which is why if you watch it, you'll figure or probably wonder why I didn't have it on a tripod to begin with. And that's why all of a sudden I'm like, Hiro, hold the camera. I'll be right back.
You're like, we recorded half of this already. Might as well get the other half.
Yeah. I'm glad I did though, because it was a great panel.
Yeah.
Another thing, and this is kind of interesting for me because I consider this a highlight for myself of the convention. Yet it's something that I was not present for and I did not witness myself. But Saber, you for the first time purchased a autograph voucher and got to talk with Lauren Faust.
Yeah, it was nice. I've been wanting to talk to her, like, I guess somewhat one-on-one since the beginning of this pony trip, 2011.
You built up the courage to do it.
What's that?
And you built up the courage to. I think it's actually
built
really
up
cool.
the money to do it.
Just 6 years, I was able to afford $50 voucher. Someday I'll be able to afford the flight. But I knew it just for a bit. I was like, hey, love your work. You know, it's inspiring. Thank you for the show you made. Really helped me connect with my creativity. Meet my friends. To meet my girlfriend.
Following,
Also,
which is approaching 400,000. Just saying, we should collaborate something.
Lauren Faust said, "Go away." No, but she. I also asked her about the elevator thing. I'm like, do you remember these two guys like smacking elephants, smacking balloons? I want to say elephants. Balloons at each other. And she's like, yeah, I remember that. I looked it up on YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, that was me and my friend Riz. And she's like, oh, that's so funny. So no, it was good closure. I was really happy to talk to her. I got my the script I made for my first Brony YouTube video. I asked her if she could autograph it because that's what got me into the YouTube stuff. So I appreciate her help.
I love it. Like I said, I wasn't there, but I thought that was such a cool story to hear and kind of like you see it kind of they're holding up your script with her autograph on it. So that was neat.
Got mad at me for buying a voucher. I have a friend in Arizona whose niece is a huge fan of Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy, and my friend found out that I was, that Andrea was going to be at this convention, and she's like, could you please just get her to sign this thing? And I was like, okay. So I waited till, the lines were down, and then I went and I bought an autograph voucher for Andrea. I just thought, might as well. And I gave it to her, and she looked up at me. She said, what the heck is this? And I was like, oh, my friend wants she said, is your friend named Gabe? And I was like, yeah. And then, anyway, she signed the thing, and then she threw the autograph voucher at me and said, don't ever insult me again.
What?
Oh my god.
Yeah, so we're not talking anymore.
Wow.
Wait. I don't understand what's going on here. What did you give her?
The autograph voucher.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, you thought I was giving her oh man. Okay, no, she was messing with but she wouldn't take the autograph voucher. That was the I
think where everybody's confused is just if that whole interaction was real or not. I don't know.
No. Everyone's now. Oh man, I'm reading the chat. Everyone's like, what? Okay, no. She's saying, don't pay me for my autograph because we're friends. That's what she was saying. But she was doing it in her kind of sarcastic Andrea jerk way.
Yeah.
We're all just sitting here. We're all just sitting here like, wow.
Oh no.
Wow, Andrew's a jerk.
No. Andrea has been. For those who don't know, we've done some projects together. We've worked on some music, and we've done a few shows together too. And she's a really, really, really sweet person, but she's also very, like, her humor is very sarcastic, and it's adorable if you get to know her because, her normal voice is to talk like this, but then, she'll swear, and she'll be like really morbid and dark, and you're just like, wow, this is weird to hear that, adorable voice saying that. But yeah, okay. I guess I should have given some background first, because everyone's like...
No, the way you framed it was not exactly the best.
Yeah, like, the way you framed that.
I'm really embarrassed right now.
Oh, it's fine.
I'm sorry, Gabe. It's terminal.
Yeah.
I just want to say one story from the convention. It's just a stupid little silly interaction Saber and I had, but I don't know, it's stuck with me. It was so funny. We were like both not really that hungry, and Jax has these like protein cookies that he like hands out to us. He's like, yeah, eat them. They give you protein. They also taste good, and I mean they're pretty tasty, like legitimately. But Saber took no, actually. But he gave one to Saber, and we were just like in the room with some others. Can't remember. I think Race and Paleo.
Yeah, we were talking about like getting something to eat for lunch or whatever.
And I was like, I'm not really hungry right now. And Saber was like, me neither. But like while he was saying that, he was literally opening the package to eat the cookie. It was outstanding.
Man, so yeah, there were a lot of incredible memories that have been made over the last for the 4 events for Equestria LA 2012, 13, 15, and 17. And yeah, I mean, for everybody that had a part in any and all of those conventions, thanks for making it a real cool, memorable time. And like we said, I think what was their announced attendance for this convention? Was it 1,200?
It's on the spreadsheet. Oh, do we want to talk about the spreadsheet?
Yes.
Soon?
Did Joel link it?
I did. You need
yeah,
to link
it's in the Discord.
Let me see.
So we'll probably bring this up on another podcast too, just because it's getting kind of late and we'll want to hit up some questions.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna say I was just kind of looking. It's interesting because I wonder how much dates affect some of these conventions. Because you know how like sometimes you hear about like a convention losing attendance, and I sometimes honestly wonder how much that is affected by dates, because I actually feel like it has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, because this was the weekend before Thanksgiving, so.
Yeah, and so I feel like that might have been one thing that might have, and granted, I'll say like if anything you'd say hurt the attendance, because I know the last time they had this panel in 2015, I think they had more than 2,000 people there. But then you also look back and this was right around the same numbers that they were seeing in 2012 and 13. So, I mean, there's still a lot of people going to these conventions.
Yeah, because in 2015 it was like in September, wasn't it? Instead of
I don't
November.
think fandom's dying. It's just everyone's always worried about that because we don't want it to. So I make the joke about that.
Yeah, no, and I agree.
The numbers said about 1,250.
Yeah. So that's like we said. There's obviously still people out here. If anyone, I'm certainly hoping that we see something pop up out here on the
I wouldn't put it in November. I'll say that.
Where would you put it?
I think around where the 2015 one was, probably like late September or something like that. Not putting it like too close to BronyCon, but like late September.
Dang, boy, BronyCon hit
Yeah.
10,000 people in 2015.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2015 was a huge year.
Jeez.
Speaking of huge year, 2015 also had the most conventions. We had 42 conventions that year.
Yeah.
The meaning of
So 2015 was really the peak.
What
think
season
one-
was 2015?
4?
4? Yeah.
Huh.
I think.
Maybe.
No, wait, no, 5.
5?
Yeah.
5? Why did that? Whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, no. What I remember when 2015 rolled around and like everybody was announcing a convention, and I think we all kind of were like, might not work out. And you could see like things started to kind of condense back the next year.
Yeah, there were too many, so they all suffered attendance.
Yeah, and
Money.
eventually, yeah, especially BronyCon that year really suffered with 10,000.
Yeah.
No, but it's interesting to look at. And this is something I want to kind of maybe look at on maybe next podcast as well. Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing, and we have a little bit of a break from conventions. Like you said, Paleo, right now for next year, the last convention I see with a date is BronyCon in late July. So there's space up on the second half of 2018. So we'll see. That happens sometimes, though. It's always weird when it does because like.
All right. Well, so we get into questions.
Yeah. Let's. You guys ready for questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna probably like knock out like 10 questions by just doing this. Has anyone seen the Avengers: Infinity War trailer, and what did you think?
Yes.
I have not.
I just watched it.
And I don't know if I'm going to.
Wait, the Avengers Infinity's trailer's out?
Yep.
Yeah, the Infinity War trailer.
Jeffrey, it doesn't really spoil anything. It's very vague.
Oh, okay.
Like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it does spoil like sort of things that happen with certain characters.
People fight.
Yeah. Somebody looks like they're gonna die.
Ray becomes evil.
She joins the dark side.
Yeah.
And Superman's in it.
All right. So yeah, I watched the trailer. It looks cool. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right. First question is from Cake Slayer. He asks, "Can you have everyone here tonight create an MLP episode revolving around Derpy's backstory?" Like, that might be a little bit more of a long-winded question than we can really answer right now, since we've.
She got kicked in the head by a mule. And that's it.
And is Saber here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. And Cake Slayer is also asking, when will you finally post your D-Day fanfic?
When you hit 1 million subscribers. No,
Jack's
you gotta do it when you hit 1 million subscribers.
I don't have it though. That's the thing. I don't have it. So
rewrite it. Make another one.
All right. Oziel asks, thoughts on Star Wars Battlefront 2 did not do well video game sales.
Good.
That's good for the industry.
Genuinely good.
Hasn't Battlefront been a huge cash grab from the beginning?
No, Battlefront 1 and 2, the originals were fantastic games.
Yeah, the original. Yeah.
Then EA got their hands on it.
Yeah. Oziel also asks thoughts on Hotel Transylvania 3 trailer. I didn't know that was out. I didn't see it, but I'm just like, why a third?
Because Sony doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, I guess so.
I feel like Sony hit gold like twice, maybe.
Yeah.
Animation.
Yeah, movie.
Oh, speaking of animated movies,
yeah.
real quick, we had this. I want to rehab this conversation. It's a short one, but earlier Paleo mentioned Rock Dog in some conversation.
Yeah.
How was that?
We just recently watched it, and I honestly thought it looked like one of the dumbest movies. Like, a dog has powers and wants to become a musician, but his dad says no, and I'm like, why does the dog have powers?
Yeah, that's honestly the dumbest thing in the movie.
Have powers.
And so we watched it, and I'm sitting here thinking this is gonna be terrible, and I actually think it was better than Sing. Straight up.
Well, you hate Sing, so.
But I mean, this was an animation that came out in 2016 also, and when you know it.
No, it
like,
came out this year.
It did?
Yeah, Rock Dog came out in like
January or February? It was February.
Yeah, Rock Dog was actually not that bad.
It's gonna win though.
It's got its moments. There's some jokes in it that landed pretty well for me and Jeffrey. So.
I mean, if there's any
I did a review of it back in February, and I honestly just thought it wasn't very memorable. I don't remember a thing about the movie.
It's not great. It's not great, but I wasn't upset with it.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, why is it like Hero? You said I can't remember what you said about. We were talking about like Rock Dog versus Sing.
Right. It's weird because like Sing is like this super calculated movie, like, oh, people are like this, and this. And it's ridiculously obnoxious, but like they read me. They're like people like animals and singing competitions and music and musical numbers. And I was like, I like all those things. I like Sing more than I wanted to.
Yeah.
So get this.
I like how this wasn't short at all, but okay. Go on, Saber.
What?
My next convention will be my 35th convention.
Nice.
Dude.
I've been to 35 of these lasted conventions.
All right, Aziel asks, did some of you went to Black Friday?
No.
No, nobody ever goes out on Black Friday.
I love that.
Actually, yes, I did.
You went there?
I went to observe.
In your like plane, you're like flying above everybody, just like what a bunch of peasants.
No, I don't have my paramotor. Remember, I did go to the mall, and I walked into the Disney store, and my favorite was Bath and Body Works. That was hilarious.
I love that store, actually.
Well, it smelled really intense when you walked in because everybody's trying this.
Yeah.
It's like, wave. It can't be good for you. But it was very funny to just watch.
Yeah.
Because there was a huge line and people were squeezing around. It's like, I have to have this perfumery. It was crazy.
So
there was. Go ahead, Paleo.
No, were you gonna ask a different question or?
No, I saw this one video on Twitter, like, it was just this one guy waiting at a door, and it's like, oh, Black Friday in the UK, and, like, this lady's, like, unlocking the door, and this just one person walks in.
My dad and I went out to go to Best Buy and Target just to look, because it's not really bad where I am.
Yeah, I heard that they're not as terrible as people make them out to be.
Yeah, and like we went to Best Buy, and there was a lot of stuff that we're like, we might like get a few like 4K Blu-rays since we have a 4K TV. But the thing is, like, the line at Best Buy was really long, so it was like,
Yes.
No, we won't wait. And then we went to Target. The lines at Target were like non-existent. But the good thing about Target is that if you spent more than $50 on Black Friday, you get 20% off your next trip, like your entire trip the next time you go to Target. So we did that.
Nice.
So and it lasts until like December 10th. So we're probably gonna go this weekend and get some stuff.
Nice.
Did you guys see that apparently some guy was like walking around some mall where people were camping out, and he was dressed as a bear?
No.
And he was like
I did read
shredding.
about he's attacking like the tents, so people were like sleeping in.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
All right.
I did a lot of Black Friday shopping because I was like, let me just buy stuff for my house that I have to move into in the next 2 months.
Yeah.
I was like, let me just buy all of it now and spend like 30% less on like all these items. So now I have just like a mini house in my room, and I just don't know where to put things. It's really bad.
All right. Anybody else?
No.
Okay. Silverblaze asks, out of all the parts of the Brony fandom, examples, music, animations, fanfics, videos, etc., what is your favorite part? So what's your favorite part of the Brony fandom? Which, I mean, I guess art for me.
Favorite part of the Brony fandom?
Man, it really varies.
The conventions, I guess.
Yeah.
Conventions.
Yeah.
I love the animations too. There's some really awesome ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, the animations can be really good.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of my favorite videos from the Bunny fandom ever is one actually made by Henry or Beavids. It's a PMV called Six, and it is so good.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really
I
good.
love it. I wouldn't say PMVs are my favorite, but like I feel like I have to give that one a shout out.
Yeah.
I love the song "Lullaby for a Princess." That's one thing that came out of this fandom that when I first heard, what the heck? I kept.
That's
Is
my
this a parody?
favorite
Is this a
thing.
cover? It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
I have a question here that we probably missed because it was posted so long ago, but it's from Flynn. He's asking me, he says, since automatic transmissions are the minority here in Germany, and I've seen you driving a stick shift in the low budgets, what do you think about manual transmissions in general and for the low budgets? And I'll answer this one quick. Anyone here drive a stick? Out of curiosity?
No.
Nope.
Nope.
Do you drive
Hey.
it regularly, Gabe, or you just have driven?
Oh no, my first car was a stick shift, and I preferred it. It was a 6-speed, and I really I don't know. I like it. I feel like I have more control.
Okay, yeah. So I've only driven a little bit with a stick shift, and I've driven in some really bad scenarios, and one of which I had a broken motor mount. And the problem is that when you have a broken motor mount in a car, and you're still kind of learning how to like get it in gear and all that, it starts to shake really violently, and to the point where I felt like I was going to get thrown out of the car.
Whoa.
Oh, by the way, I was in the middle of a race, so I'm like, but I was gonna say, Tommy's driven more with stick shifts. He has had. Don't drive a stick shift in a demolition derby.
Whoa.
It's a bad idea.
That sounds like a bad idea.
It is. He's hurt his ankle doing that, but it was the only car that was left, so he was like, "I'll take it."
Tommy's hilarious, by the way. He was so funny.
He was so funny, yeah.
yeah. I'm glad we were able to get him to be a part of it, but yeah, like you said, manual transmissions, you have more control, so that's kind of cool. And I know on the racing side of it, I think people prefer them because, man, sometimes your automatics suck when they're trying to shift in a higher gear, but it's also partially because the cars that I'm driving suck. So, yeah, next question.
Yeah, that was quick.
Thank you.
Nora Mermaid asks, first of all, thank you to Gabe and everyone who came to my panel. I really appreciated it. Second off, my question is for Gabe. What has been your best day at the beach?
My best day at the beach.
How many beach days have you had?
When he jumped off the cliff and
Actually,
almost
I think
died.
my best day at the beach was I think we were in Florida. On the Gulf side.
Someone doing their laundry?
we were in Florida at the Gulf side, and we had this mega like. She'd like been got up, and she's like, "I've been." Something got me. Something, I think it bit me or something, and we got out of the water. There was no bite, but she described it. The way she described it, she said, something got my leg, and I just started convulsing. And so I'm thinking, that's an electric shock. But I'm like, there's no electric eel, in salt water. They're freshwater. And I was, what could that be? So I looked it up on my phone. Electric something, electric Gulf, and I found this thing called the numbfish, which is not very well known and typically doesn't come to shallow water, but we were in the perfect time of the year because they were mating, and they go into the shallows to do that, I guess. And they're electric stingrays. I'd never heard of them. Weirdest looking things, but I was like, at that moment, I was like, I have to catch one because they just so I got my goggles on, and I just kind of snorkeled around looking for the breathing holes, because I assumed like any normal ray, they bury under the sand, and you can easily spot their eyes, and the holes on the gills are on top of their head, just behind their eyes. And sure enough, I saw one. And normally the way you catch a stingray buried in the sand is you triangulate the position between the eyes, you dig in front of it, you get your fingers underneath it and in its mouth, and then you can pick it up and it won't sting you. So I first tried that. The second I got my fingers like in its mouth, huge electric shock up my arm. The weirdest feeling. I was like, wow, that's powerful. So I went and bought a net, and I wrapped the whole net in duct tape, and then went back to the beach, found one, scooped it up and caught it, and put it on the shore just for a little while, and took some pictures with it, posed with it, then picked it up in the net again to put it back in the water. But when I did that, it had a baby, and there was a baby electric ray on the beach where the adult was, and I grabbed some kid's bucket, they let me borrow it, and filled it with seawater, and just had this little baby electric ray swimming around in this bucket, and took a bunch of pictures of it, and then swam far out beyond the surf so I could let it go. And it was just the coolest thing. Apparently they're oviviviparous, which I know about, because most cartilaginous species, either like at least especially stingrays, will have like an egg sac that they'll leave. It's like a funny looking thing. But no, this actually gives birth to live young. So totally shocked, ha ha, for lack of a better term. But that was my best.
I muted Saberspark for a second. Sorry. All right.
Yeah.
Is he done doing laundry? There you go. Okay.
Like, so fascinating. No, hold on, I gotta fold my pants.
I actually have a picture of it, so I'll throw it in the chat.
All right. Let's see. Next question is from Imperfect13. Thoughts on Hey Arnold Jungle Movie if you've seen it? I haven't seen it yet. But so no spoilery things, but just you can put your general
It was
thoughts.
fun.
Yeah.
I had fun watching it.
I forgot to set it to record.
Italy, I love it. It's
It was really good. I thought it was good.
That's an electric stingray. It looks like half shark, half ray.
I like the thing that you like took it on the beach and started kicking it to get revenge for it attacking your sister.
My
Very
goodness,
nice.
You have changed colors entirely.
What?
You are this.
That's
you are
just a sunburned face.
You are just a red man.
Oh, I know. No, I have the worst skin. My mom has a very fair skin that burns easily, but it's not oily, so she always looks clean and wonderful. And my dad has very oily skin, but it's super tan and awesome. And all my siblings got really like tanning, dry skin, and I got oily, burned skin.
Jeez, Gabe, you really didn't luck out. I mean, you're just a genius voice actor who can build flying machines. So let me tell you. But when it comes to skin, man, he really pulled the shortest straw. I say we start a GoFundMe. Get the surgery. Nora, get on it.
Speaking of Nora, I think she's our next question.
Yeah, there's another question.
By the way, for the record, though, Gabe, I'm not trying to belittle your accomplishments because you earned it. You didn't give it; wasn't given to you. So I just want to make that point.
Oh
You're
yeah,
welcome.
oh yeah. No, you mean I know. I didn't earn it. I have this terrible tendency to obsess over things, and so I beat myself to death until I can get what I want.
I feel like the people don't understand that like there's something that definitely suffers here called your sleep cycle.
Oh yeah, I don't sleep.
Next question. Next question is from, again, Norm Mermaid. Another question for Gabe. Since my birthday is on Friday, I want to know what has been the best moment of any of the times we've seen each other.
See ya.
This last time?
Every time we say goodbye.
I broke up for a second. Did you say that this is the last time Equestria LA was the best moment?
No.
No.
She wants to know what has been the best moment any of the times you two have seen each other.
Oh.
You know, it's funny. I have to say, I like it when. Hold on. What's up?
What are you? Okay, if you're gonna pause. I don't know. We've hung out a lot. I really the appreciation panel was very sweet, and that was very, very nice of you. That was kind of awesome. But also laser tag was a lot of fun, even though you glowed.
I got in trouble.
Oh.
Why'd you get in trouble?
I was talking too loud.
Oh.
Welcome to my life every day. You know what my mom does? Whenever we go to a restaurant, my mom will be like, "So Jeffrey, that's my fake name. How's your day been?" And I'll be like, "Well, I had to do." You don't have to tell the whole restaurant.
Right.
Like, okay.
Which can only make knowing you probably only makes you want to do it louder.
Okay.
No, that's exactly what I do.
All right, I think this next question is gonna be the last one for the night. From
Alright.
Oziel. Thoughts on Incredibles 2 teaser and discussion on Lassiter.
We have to.
Let's not discuss Lassiter. I think that's already, Incredibles 2 teaser was good though.
I've not seen it.
It's a teaser trailer,
Teaser
so
on a teaser, pretty much.
it's not. It doesn't contain essentially anything that you haven't seen in the first movie, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's par for the course because the first Incredibles movie trailer was so bad I almost didn't see the movie.
Really? I forgot what the trailer was.
Maybe just a salad. Oh, some rice cakes. I'm a fat superhero. That's funny.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, you're right. I forgot about that. Man, that's a throwback. I just felt like I went back 10 years. Holy cow.
Terrible though. And I was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
I want to see this. And then the movie was complex and epic and just, I love that movie. That might be one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And got busy.
It's a whole family of super. Like I hit the. Good.
Yeah. No. I mean, just it being there is like that little bit of evidence because I feel like some movies we get excited about, but I always kind of worry until I see a trailer for it that there's always a chance that it might just not
be happening. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. So I think that's why this was kind of a bigger deal, was everyone was just happy to see,
It's happening. Man, it's got big shoes to fill, though. I really hope it lives up.
Yeah. I will say this, by the way, it just to kind of throw it out there, I think, Paleo, on your podcast, we did get into the John Lasseter stuff.
Yeah, so if you want to see a discussion about that, you can check out the POS podcast. It's posted on my channel.
Yeah, so I mean that kind of gets into it because we're running late here anyways, and that's a long topic and probably not what the best kind to end on, but it's cool to see the incredible stuff coming out. Plus with Coco.
Is it Brad Bird? Does anybody know?
Yeah.
I think so.
Good.
Yeah, and then real quick? Do you guys know for Coco the director?
Lee Wait.
I was about to say Lee Tokar. I was like, no, wow.
Lee Tokar.
Who needs hand belt? Yeah.
It finally came together. Right?
Yeah, Lee Unkrich and Adrian Molina. So it's two directors.
Two dads.
Yeah. So Lee did because I recognize he did
Oh, he did.
He directed Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, it is gonna be.
And Adrian, I think this is his first Pixar movie.
Nice.
But he's worked on previous Pixar movies before, but he hasn't directed one. He wrote the story for Coco, so.
Go so.
Well, with that, I think we're gonna call an end here to this semi-perfect podcast. This is the last. We didn't even talk about holidays or anything. We got a bunch of topics to talk about in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we will be back on December 13th, Wednesday, and
Laura and I will be gone during that time.
Oh, okay. Where are you guys? Oh, is that when you're going to Florida?
Disney World, baby.
Disney World.
You're going to Disney World twice in 1 year?
Her family offered to take us, so we're going.
Wait, I thought it was Disneyland.
Oh, so going without paying.
Well, I'm paying a small bit, but like it's like a fraction of what you usually pay. Not a fraction, but well, what I'm saying is I've been to Disneyland twice this year and Disney World twice this year. I don't deserve these blessings in my life.
That's why I think we're.
You gotta share it.
Wow. That's so mean.
Oh my goodness, my
weird enough. You gotta share it, cause like for some reason the first thing that jumped in my head was like, all right, pass Laura around. Who...
No,
not like that! Not like that!
Well,
No!
Oh my God!
Well, in that case, you have to give me your Judy pillow. Right? So...
No!
Oh!
I meant because you're going with her family, so...
I'm a gentleman. I would ask Laura.
This is a ballroom dance, man. Have this dance. All right. End the podcast, please.
End it now.
Them ponies.
Please clap.
Bye bye.